Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the AEW Dynamite review. Dynamite tonight was from the Fort Bend Epicenter in Rosenberg, Texas. And I know I said at the end of my Monday Night Raw review that I wasn't going to review Dynamite, but, going to review it. So, Dynamite tonight, the show just ended, and I thought it was a very good show, in my opinion. Really enjoyed Dynamite tonight. But tonight on the show, we saw Jay White versus Penta Miedo. We had an AEW Women's World Championship Eliminator match. Hikaru Shida versus Amy Sakura. Wardlow was in action, and it was another squash match where he faced the Hollywood hunk, Ryan Nemeth. Dolph Ziggler's brother. Kenny Omega was in action. He had taken on Kyle Fletcher. Lance Archer was in action, and he had taken on Barrett Brown. And in the main event, we had the Dynamite Dozen Battle Royal, where the winner of this Battle Royal will face MJF next week on Dynamite from Philadelphia for the Dynamite Diamond Ring. Will MJF make it 5 in a row next week? We'll have to wait and see. But obviously, calling it right now, MJF will make it 5 in a row, and he will still have the Dynamite Diamond Ring. But overall, Dynamite tonight, good show it was. But anyways, let's jump right into the review. Dynamite opened up tonight with Penta Miedo versus Jay White. And this was a good match to open up the show. Penta ended up making his way to the ring, accompanied by, of course, Alex Abrahantes. And then Jay White ended up coming out with the rest of Bullet Club Gold with Austin Colton Gunn and Rock Hard Juice Robinson. Of course, they carried out the cardboard cutout of Jay White. So we have Penta end up diving onto Jay White, taking him out. Penta kept on the attack on Jay White. He ended up sending Jay White into the ring. So Penta ended up hitting a double stomp to Jay White, and the match ended up getting underway. The bell ended up ringing. So Penta ended up going for the cover. Jay White kicked out. So Bullet Club Gold ended up intervening, which allowed Jay White to turn things around on Penta. Jay White ended up delivering a DDT to Penta. He ended up going for the cover, and Penta kicked out. So Jay White kept his momentum on Penta. It led to a snap suplex to Penta from Jay White. So Jay ended up going for the cover, and Penta ended up kicking out. Penta ended up getting back to his feet. He ended up taking a kick from Jay White. Then Penta came back, ended up delivering a thrust kick to Jay White. Penta then rushed at Jay White, and Jay White ended up evading Penta and sent Penta to the outside. So Bullet Club Gold then started mocking Penta. Jay White ended up going back and attacking Penta. He ended up bringing Penta into the ring. Jay White then ended up taking Penta's mask. He tied a knot on Penta's mask to keep Penta attached to the ropes, but the ref ended up intervening. Jay ended up sending Penta into the corner to go for a cover, and Penta ended up kicking out. So then Dynamite went to commercial. We saw the picture-in-picture. And then as Dynamite came back from the commercial, Jay White was in control of the match, and he started to deliver some chops to Penta. Penta got to his feet. Penta ended up hitting the ropes, and Penta ended up hitting a kick to Jay White. Jay ended up escaping out of the ring. The Blackpool Combat Club ended up intervening, and they couldn't stop Penta hitting a massive tope onto Jay White. So Penta ended up bringing Jay back into the ring. So both Penta and Jay got back up to their feet. They were trading strikes at each other. Penta then removed his glove, and he delivered a hard chop to Jay White, which echoed through the arena. And then Jay White came back, responded with a chop of his own to Penta. So Penta ended up getting the upper hand. Jay White ended up telling Penta to remove the shirt covering Penta's chest. So we had Penta end up obligating, and we had Penta and Jay White end up trading chops. So they were just going back and forth with the chops to each other. Jay White then ended up catching Penta with a basement drop kick. And then Penta came back, ended up delivering the Death Valley driver to Jay White. So Penta ended up going for the cover. Jay White kicked out. It was a close near fall here. Penta was looking to go for the Fear Factor, but Jay countered the Fear Factor from Penta into a Uranagi, and that dropped Penta down to the canvas. So Jay White then ended up delivering a Brainbuster to Penta. He went for the cover. Penta kicked out of that, which was crazy. So Jay White continued his attack on Penta, and Jay White was then sent down with the Made in Japan by Penta. He ended up going for the cover, and Jay White ended up kicking out. Penta was then looking to go for the Fear Factor again, but the Blackpool Combat Club intervened. Juice Robinson was on the apron. He ended up hitting Penta with a left hand, and then Jay White hit the Blade Runner to Penta. Jay White ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Jay White ended up winning the match. Post-match, Jay White got on the mic. Jay White called out MJF, and he ended up calling himself the truly elite world champion. Jay White ended up saying that MJF can't find anyone to team up with him to try and take back his world championship. Juice Robinson ended up promising that he will win the Dynamite Dozen Battle Royal and beat MJF for his ring in Philadelphia and proceed to pawn the ring. So Juice Robinson, claimed that he wants to beat MJF if he won the Dynamite Dozen Battle Royal, take the Dynamite Diamond Ring from MJF and pawn it. And the only reason why he said, if he wins and he wants to pawn the Dynamite Diamond Ring is that he can get another gold tooth. So Austin Gunn ended up saying that if you're not down with that, we've got two words for you. Guns up. So pretty much that was basically that. But overall, very good match between Jay White and Penta. Both Penta and Jay White worked really well here in the match. The wrestling was good. I liked the chops back and forth from each other at one point in the match. But overall, good match it was. And then we saw Renee Paquette. Renee Paquette was backstage. She was talking to MJF about what the Bullet Club Gold said moments ago. MJF ended up saying that he wasn't going to go out there and get beat up or waste his entrance pop. See, MJF is smart. 4-on-1, he didn't want to get his ass kicked. Why would he fall for that to go out there and get his ass kicked? So MJF started running down Juice Robinson, ended up saying that he hopes Juice wins the Dynamite Dozen Battle Royal so he can beat him down and retain the Dynamite Diamond Ring. And then MJF mentioned that he was at New York Comic Con, and there was so many people remind him of Jay White. So many frail little losers walking around with belts, cosplaying as world champions. Which is true. I met MJF. I got a photo op with him at New York Comic Con, and it's in my Saturday vlog. It was just him, just sitting there. I was, next to him, and he was just like, like that, not even noticing, people taking pictures with him. He was in character the whole time. He didn't break kayfabe while he was there at New York Comic Con. But that made me chuckle there when he mentioned that he was at New York Comic Con. So, there was a point where I was standing on the line and people were going to get the photo op with MJF. And there was at one point where he threw something. I think it was a belt, and it landed behind the curtain, which, I was laughing. And then he was like talking trash to some people, like I said, typical MJF staying in character, not breaking kayfabe. But it was funny. I thought that there was a point where, I was getting the photo with him. I thought he was going to take my hat and throw it. But eventually that did not happen. I would have loved for him to throw my hat, that I was wearing. Be like, oh, yeah, I just got my hat thrown by MJF. But that would have been a moment that I would never forget if that happened. So then Renee ended up asking MJF about Adam Cole. But Adam Cole got interrupted by the Acclaimed, the World Trios champions. Max Caster offered to team up with MJF to take on Bullet Club Gold. But MJF refused the offer, and Max Caster ended up saying that he could maybe get in on the Battle Royal tonight. And when he faces MJF for the Dynamite Diamond Ring, the champ will have to put a ring on it, which that caused MJF to walk off. And then Anthony Bowens ended up telling Caster that less is more. Man, that was basically that. But Max Caster has been coming to MJF. Max Caster wants to help MJF and just team with him to take on Bullet Club Gold. But MJF is just like, no, I don't want to team up with you. So Caster's been following MJF around. And then we had the AEW Women's World Championship Eliminator match. Hikaru Shida versus Emi Sakura. Solid women's match here. Emi Sakura made her way out first. And then out came Hikaru Shida, the AEW Women's World Champion. Hikaru Shida, of course, came out with a kendo stick in hand. Emi Sakura ended up rushing at Shida. She ended up blindsiding Shida with an attack, and that got the match underway. So we have both women end up trading strikes at each other. Emi Sakura delivers some chops to Hikaru Shida, which sent Hikaru Shida into the corner. And Emi Sakura ended up gearing up to deliver a charge at Shida. Shida ended up responding with a kick to Sakura. So Shida ended up going for the cover. Sakura ended up kicking out. So we had both Sakura and Shida. They were getting near falls. And Shida ended up sending Sakura to the corner with some punches. And Sakura ended up turning things around. She ended up hitting a crossbody splash in the corner on Hikaru Shida. She ended up mocking Hikaru Shida by throwing the kendo stick out of the ring. And then Dynamite went to commercial. And as Dynamite came back from the commercial, Hikaru Shida was able to get some offense in on Emi Sakura. Emi Sakura ended up sending Hikaru Shida out of the ring. Sakura left the ring. She ended up going up the ramp. And she was met with a Hurricanrana by Hikaru Shida. Shida ended up sending Sakura back into the ring. She ended up going for the cover. And Sakura ended up kicking out. And this led right here at this point in the match to some near falls from both Shida and Sakura. Sakura ended up hitting a powerbomb to Shida. And Sakura ended up going for the cover. Shida ended up kicking out. So Sakura then mocked the crowd. And she ended up going for a moonsault. Hikaru Shida rolled out of the way. She ended up hitting the katana to Sakura. She ended up going for the cover. And Sakura ended up kicking out. Sakura caught Hikaru Shida with a lob McStraddle cradle, and she ended up going for the cover, and Hikaru Shida ended up kicking out. Sakura delivered the backbreaker to Hikaru Shida, but Shida ended up fighting back. Shida delivered the Falcon Arrow to Sakura. She ended up going for the cover. Sakura kicked out, which is crazy. After Hikaru Shida hit the Falcon Arrow on Sakura. So Shida managed to catch Sakura and delivered the katana to Sakura, and it connected to Sakura. So Shida ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Hikaru Shida ended up winning the match. Overall, solid women's match here between Hikaru Shida and Amy Sakura, back and forth between these women. So it was a good showcasing for both Shida and Sakura. Given the history that they've had. And then we saw Renee Paquette. Renee Paquette was interviewing Adam Copeland. This was done earlier in the day. Paquette was speaking to Adam Copeland about the history he and Christian Cage have in the business. So Copeland ended up saying to Renee that he talked about getting that slight head start, but always having respect. He ended up hyping Christian Cage up. Copeland ended up saying that he thinks that Christian is still angry about that head start, despite him helping Christian get into things. So Copeland then talked about the ties they have as family of sorts, with each man being godfather to the other's kids. So Renee ended up asking Copeland what kind of goals he has coming into AEW. Copeland made it clear that he did not want to fight Christian Cage, but wants to be there to pick him up when Nick Wayne and Luchasaurus leave him. So pretty much that was basically what Adam Copeland had to say about him and Christian Cage. And then we had a squash match, Wardlow versus Ryan Nemeth, the Hollywood hunk. Wardlow won the match. It only took Wardlow just one powerbomb that knocked out Ryan Nemeth to win the match. So there you go. Wardlow won the match with one powerbomb to Ryan Nemeth. So then post-match, Tony Schiavone got into the ring. He was trying to get a word with Wardlow. Wardlow ended up showing off wrist tape. And on the wrist tape said MJF. And Wardlow shoved Tony Schiavone away and he left the ring. Wardlow did not even say one word to Tony Schiavone. So that was that. But, I'm eager to see Wardlow targeting MJF off of the reveal of, the wrist tape, having MJF on it. So, but, overall squash match between Wardlow. I'm like, this is what we're doing with Wardlow, just having him go out there each and every single week and squashing guys. I mean, what does this do for Wardlow? But I take it maybe Wardlow is now a heel. But pretty much that was that. And then we went to Renee Paquette. Renee Paquette backstage. She had a busy night tonight for Dynamite. Renee was talking to Kenny Omega about his match against Kyle Fletcher tonight. So MJF ended up cutting in to interrupt this interview. MJF ended up saying to Omega that he just says hi and that he respects Omega. So they end up shaking hands, Kenny Omega and MJF. MJF leaned into Omega and he whispered in Omega's ear, 13 days, bitch. And then MJF walked off. So this left Omega to think about MJF reminding him that in 13 days, MJF will surpass Omega as the longest reigning AEW World Champion. So that was why MJF ended up saying 13 days, bitch, to Omega. He's waiting to break Omega's record and being the longest reigning AEW World Champion. So that was that. And then, as Dynamite came back from the commercial, Adam Cole was shown at Roderick Strong's house. We went to Adam! So Adam Cole was giving Roderick Strong coffee. Roderick Strong spit out the coffee, ended up saying that he hates hot coffee. Adam Cole ended up saying that he's out of here. And Roderick Strong ended up apologizing. He's like, Adam, I'm craving for peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. So Strong ended up complaining about that. And, we saw Adam Cole just making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And Strong complains about, the bread has crust. So Adam Cole was done with this. He's like, I'm going to get my surgery finally. So Adam Cole walked out of Roderick Strong's house while Strong was going, Adam! Don't you all probably know when Roderick Strong is going, Adam! It's like, when somebody is sick or somebody breaks their leg, you see in TV shows, and they have the bell to ring for assistance. That's Roderick Strong there, just screaming, Adam! Instead of having the bell, he's screaming Adam Cole's name. So Adam Cole, like I said, got out of Roderick Strong's house. Strong ended up admitting that he knows what he has to do to get his best friend back. And that he's going to have to be nice to that scumbag known as MJF. There you go. It was a good, segment here with Adam Cole, Roderick Strong, and the Kingdom. You had the Kingdom there, Mike Bennett and Matt Taven. And then we saw Tony Schiavone. Tony Schiavone was in the ring. He introduced Don Callis and his family. So Don Callis and Konosuke Takeshita and Powerhouse Will Hobbs made their way down to the ring, boos from the crowd. So Don Callis talked about the family, making history last week when Hobbs broke Jericho in half. And this is the third stable that Hobbs is in. First stable, he was part of Team Taz, and then he was a part of QTV, and now he's with the Don Callis family. When he was with Team Taz and QTV, they did nothing with him. And now that he's with the Don Callis family, hopefully they give Powerhouse Hobbs the push that he deserves and make him look like a strong guy. I don't want to see him go to another stable. The AEW should book Hobbs in the Don Callis family and push him. I don't want to see him bouncing around from stable to stable to stable to stable. Give Hobbs the push that he deserves. So Hobbs got on the mic. He talked about what happened on February 22nd, 1998. And on that date, he had a chance to meet his hero, Chris Jericho. He ended up talking about what Jericho did to him and his grandmother that night. And he ended up saying last week, that way served as revenge. So we saw, the replay of Hobbs end up slamming Jericho again and again, on the Titantron. So Don Callis ended up saying that Hobbs has been told to bottle up his feelings. But with the family, he can be what he is, a killing machine. So Callis ended up saying that they're not done with Jericho or anyone else because the family is about to unleash Powerhouse on AEW. And Takeshita did not even say anything here. Takeshita's just standing in the background there like, that's what Takeshita was doing throughout this segment. Did not utter one word. You know, they're trying to make him the Sol Sikoa of the Don Callis family, where he's just going to stand there and not say a word, and then just being like, so we had Kyle Fletcher end up coming out. Kyle Fletcher grabbed the mic out of Don Callis' hand. He ended up telling Callis that he did this match as a favor. He ended up saying that he has another chance to face Omega one-on-one, and a chance to prove to everyone, including Callis, that he doesn't need anyone's help to beat Omega. So Callis ended up saying that he likes that confidence from Fletcher, and that if Fletcher beats Omega tonight, they could consider talking things over next week. So Don Callis and the family left the ring. Omega ended up coming out. And then we had the match get underway. Kyle Fletcher versus Kenny Omega. Very good match this was. Kyle Fletcher has looked very good. And, you know, his partner, Mark Davis, is out with an injury. And I'm glad that they're giving Kyle Fletcher TV time, you know, other than just, you know, shoving him to the side and, you know, keeping him sidelined because Mark Davis is out with, you know, injury. So I'm glad that they're, you know, actually giving Kyle Fletcher some TV time. So Fletcher then blindsided Omega. He ended up sending Omega to the ropes. He ended up trying to choke Omega out with his shirt. Omega ended up fighting back. He sent Fletcher to the ropes. Fletcher turned things around. He started laying some punches on Omega. And Don Callis was on commentary for the match here. Omega finally got back to his feet. He had pinned a delayed vertical suplex to Fletcher. Fletcher then ended up sliding out of the ring. And Fletcher then ended up taking a dive from Omega. Omega went back to his feet. He ended up bringing Fletcher back into the ring. Fletcher ended up getting back into things. He ended up sending Omega out of the ring. And he ended up sending Omega over the barricade. Fletcher then ended up bringing Omega back into the ring. He sent Omega into the corner. Omega turned things around and delivered a standing Hurricanrana, which sent Fletcher right back out of the ring. Omega was sent up for a dive, but Fletcher ended up cutting him off, bringing Omega to the outside. And so both Omega and Fletcher were trading strikes at each other. Omega ended up getting the upper hand. He ended up sending Fletcher into the barricade. He ended up sending Fletcher flying into the barricade. And then Dynamite went to commercial. Then when Dynamite came back from the commercial, Omega was in control of the match. He ended up sent up to deliver a moonsault to Fletcher. Fletcher ended up escaping. And just Omega ended up delivering that moonsault to the outside to Fletcher, which was great. That moonsault from Omega. Omega then ended up hitting a drop kick to Fletcher's back. He ended up going for the cover, and Fletcher ended up kicking out. So Omega set Fletcher up. He ended up dropping Fletcher down to the canvas. He ended up going for the cover. Fletcher ended up kicking out. So we had Fletcher end up delivering a kick to Omega in the corner. And Fletcher ended up followed up with a brainbuster, which allowed Fletcher to go for the cover, and Omega ended up kicking out. So Omega ended up managing to fight out of a tombstone attempt from Kyle Fletcher, but Omega was sent face first into the second turnbuckle. Fletcher then ended up hitting the Michinoku driver to Omega. He ended up going for the cover, and Omega ended up kicking out. Omega ended up getting to the ropes, and Fletcher delivered a kick from behind to Omega. So Omega ended up finding out. He ended up hitting a knee to Fletcher's back. Omega delivered a reverse Rana to Fletcher, which Omega followed up with a powerbomb and a knee strike to Fletcher. Omega then went for the cover, and Fletcher kicked out. So Fletcher got to the ropes. He ended up taking the V-trigger by Omega, and Omega was going for the one-wicked angel, but Fletcher countered out of that. Fletcher delivered a Dragon Sleeper to Omega, but Omega countered that into a pinning combination, and Fletcher ended up kicking out. Omega delivered a Snapdragon to Fletcher, but Fletcher came back, delivered a kick to Omega. So Omega then ended up delivering a knee to Fletcher, and Omega ended up hitting the one-wicked angel, and he ended up going for the cover, and there you go. Kenny Omega ended up winning the match. Overall, very good match here between Omega and Fletcher here. Both back and forth action here. And, it's a really good clashing between the two. And it was a good leading win for Omega. Don Callis on commentary, he was throwing a temper tantrum because, Kyle Fletcher should have been the one to beat Omega. But he ended up missing his opportunity. So then, after that, we had Danhausen. Danhausen ended up delivering a message. It was a very nice, very evil. He was letting us know that we will all be cursed soon enough. So it was in the song of "London Bridge is Falling Down," where he's like, very nice, very evil. So, but it looks like Danhausen's going to make his return, and he's going to be a heel. So, which we saw in this little vignette from Danhausen. And then we had Lance Archer versus Barrett Brown. This was a squash match. Lance Archer ended up dropping Barrett Brown down to the canvas, went for the cover. Lance Archer ended up winning the match. Squash match it was. And it's good to see Lance Archer, again. But we'll see where AEW goes with Lance Archer now that, he's back on TV. And so then we had an announcement of the debut of the music video for a remix of Big Pressure, which is the theme song of Swerve Strickland. So we're going to see that Friday on Rampage. So Swerve ended up saying that he doesn't feel like celebrating because he feels he should also be celebrating being the TNT champion. But he didn't even get that shot because of Hangman and Page. So Swerve was looking for revenge for this. That was that. And then we had Tony Schiavone. Tony Schiavone was in the ring, and he ended up introducing Sting. And Sting was going to make an announcement, possibly an announcement of his retirement. So Sting made his way out to the ring. He got a good ovation from the crowd there. Sting got on the mic. He ended up saying that he wants to reflect before saying the word. Looking back on his travels with guys from his long and storied career. So Sting ended up giving props to men that he's worked with. From Dusty Rhodes, Hulk Hogan, which the crowd booed when he mentioned Hulk Hogan. And Sting was like, yeah, I know. And then he ended up mentioning Ric Flair. So Sting thanked these guys for what they've given him over the years. The crowd started chanting, "Thank you, Sting." Sting thanked the fans. He ended up getting into why those guys stuck around for so long. He ended up saying, the smell of the arenas, the camaraderie of the locker room, and the roar of the fans that keep them going. So Sting ended up wondering if he should still be doing certain things. So the crowd ended up chanting, "You still got it," to Sting. So Sting ended up addressing his retirement of 2015, reminding people that he said the only thing certain about he is nothing is certain. This led to Sting addressing the possibility of retirement once more. So Sting talked about his first match that he had when he came to AEW at Revolution 2021. So he ended up saying that his very last match will be taking place at Revolution next year. So Sting ended up saying that the only thing for sure about is that his retirement after Revolution will be for sure. So that was that. The crowd ended up showing their appreciation for Sting, and that was how the segment ended. So there you go. We got Sting announcing his retirement, this time. His retirement's going to be taking place after Revolution 2024, and I'm calling it now. And I may be wrong on this. I may be right. You all could come back to this video and say, well, Michael, you were right. Just come back to this video, October 18th, 23 review of AEW Dynamite. I'm calling this right down the center. Sting's final opponent for his retirement match will be Darby Allin. And I'm calling that. That would be Sting's retirement match. Him versus Darby Allin. But that's my prediction. If I'm right about it, you all can come back to this video and say, Michael, you were right. But if it is, Darby Allin, I would not be surprised. And then we had RJ City backstage. RJ City introduced Timeless Toni Storm. And Toni Storm ended up telling the crew in the production truck to play her picture, her silent picture. So Dynamite went to commercial while we saw, the silent picture by Timeless Toni Storm, on the right-hand side of the screen. If you saw it on Fight TV, during the broadcast, you saw it all. So that was that. And as Dynamite came back from the commercial, we had a sit-down interview with Jim Ross. Good old JR was interviewing Nick Wayne, and Nick Wayne's mom was there. So JR tried to get to the bottom of what's going on with Nick Wayne after he aligned with Christian Cage. So Nick Wayne's mother admitted that it was shocking what went down with Nick Wayne, and she ended up saying that Darby has been like a brother to him. So Nick Wayne's mom ended up saying that it's out of character, and the things that Christian Cage has said about his father. She ended up saying that she doesn't recognize her son right now. So Nick Wayne's mom ended up putting her hand on his leg, but Nick Wayne ended up pushing her hand away. So Nick Wayne ended up saying that it was always Darby getting congratulated. So he's proven why he's here. So Nick Wayne ended up saying that he has a new father figure now, better than his father ever was. So then Christian Cage came up. So Christian Cage and Nick Wayne end up walking away, and it led to Nick Wayne's mother slapping him. And Nick Wayne ended up telling his mother that his mother is dead to him. He ended up calling his mother a terrible one. So as Nick Wayne and Christian Cage left the room, they ended up getting jumped by Darby Allin. Darby Allin ended up focusing on Nick Wayne. Darby Allin ended up throwing Nick Wayne into a metal barricade. And then they started fighting on the stage. And Luchasaurus and Christian Cage end up coming out. Luchasaurus ended up intervening at Darby Allin. So we had Sting ended up coming out. Sting ended up saving Darby Allin before going after Christian. Sting and Christian were in the ring. Sting was looking to go for the Scorpion Deathlock, but Luchasaurus saved Christian Cage, and Nick Wayne was bleeding from his mouth. Apparently, Darby Allin ended up kicking a tooth from Nick Wayne. So, pretty much that was basically that. But overall, I thought this was a decent segment here. And then we had Renee Paquette. Renee Paquette was backstage with the Best Friends, Orange Cassidy, and Hook. And she was talking to them about their collection of championships, heading to Battle of the Belts this Saturday. So Chris Statlander ended up announcing that she'll defend the TBS Championship against Will Nightingale. So that's going to be taking place on Saturday. Orange Cassidy ended up talking about how much he missed the International Championship after losing it. He ended up saying that he is ready to defend against whoever wins the opportunity on Rampage. And all he just saw was Hook eating Cheetos. Even the Best Friends were having Cheetos as well. This segment was sponsored by Cheetos. There you go. And then we had the main event, which was the Dynamite Dozen Battle Royal. The winner of the Battle Royal gets to face MJF for the Dynamite Diamond Ring next week on Dynamite. So we had, Max Caster, Juice Robinson out there. MJF head out to the stage. He was on commentary for the Battle Royal. So we saw Giant TV there, Daniel Garcia, Matt Menard, Angelo Parker, Matt Hardy, Dustin Rhodes. We saw them out there. And in the end, it was down to Caster and Juice Robinson. And we saw MJF and Jay White. They were fighting it out on the stage. MJF was able to get his championship back for a little bit. But we had Jay White low-blowing MJF. So Max Caster was distracted by all that. Juice Robinson ended up catching Caster with a left hand of God. And it was assisted by the ring that Juice Robinson had. So Juice Robinson ended up sending Caster out of the ring. And so there you go. Juice Robinson won the Dynamite Dozen Battle Royal. He will face MJF next week on Dynamite for the Dynamite Diamond Ring. So post-match, MJF ended up running the Bullet Club Gold down from the stage. And Dynamite came to a close. But calling it right now, MJF will win next week, and it will mark 5 in a row that MJF has retained the Dynamite Diamond Ring. But that was Dynamite tonight. Overall, very good show it was, and a lot of good build toward next week and the upcoming weeks. We finally got Sting's announcement of when he's going to retire. But anyways, that's it for the Dynamite review. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoy this review. Definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all on Friday for SmackDown. So, see you all then.